So the next step in building out a website is actually to create a template that authors will use to actually build pages as we did before. So to create that template, again, we're going to use CRXDE Lite. So here I am on the front page of CQ5. Go ahead and just open up CRXDE Lite, and you should have the project structure that you created from your last video. So in here, under the templates folder that you created earlier, right, which is under your training project, just click here and right click and just say create template. And this will provide us a wizard that will actually create a template that website authors can use to actually build out a page. So let's explore how to do this. So what I'm going to do is just simply call this content page. I'm going to call this training content page. And I'll just give it a description of template for authors. And now the resource type. This is very important, and this is where it's going to go inside of my site. So I'm going to say training / components / page. In the last video, we created that page, and then I'm going to say content page. And that's going to be created automatically. So this is going to be the new component that this template is now going to point to. So eventually we're going to have to actually create a template page component that's going to be stored there. For now we haven't created it, so don't let that confuse you. So we have this template here, and this is going to point to this content page component. So all templates have to point to a component, and the component is what actually takes content and renders it on the page. Okay? So again, a little confusing, but we're going to build all of this out, and one of the difficult things about CQ is there's just so many different pieces of CQ, but hopefully these videos will help you get a better understanding of all of those different moving pieces. So even if you're not a developer, the goal of this is to be able to understand all of the technology and the architecture of CQ. So just for testing purposes, let's set up the ranking here. And this is when an author goes in and actually builds a page and it lists all of the different templates. This is in what order those templates will appear. So if I choose a ranking of 1, this is going to be the first template that my author will see, and this we can set it up for testing. Okay, so now click Next, and now we have the allowed paths. And what the allowed paths does is this just simply says where authors are allowed to add content from. Okay, so again, as I said before, in CQ, everything is content. Whether you're talking about an image, whether you're talking about a block of text, right? Whether you're talking about a particular component. Everything in CQ is stored inside of the repository, the Java content repository. And here, when I say allowed paths, this is where authors are allowed to grab that content from. So again, as we looked at before, all the content is stored over here in the content directory. So let's just point this to that content directory, and let's just say that authors can add any content inside of that content directory, even if it's from another site. So now comes a fun part. To do that, we actually have to write a regular expression. Now, I'm not a regular expression guru, so you may want to look this up and look at some more information about regular expressions, but that's what we're doing here, is writing a regular expression. So I'm going to say /content, and then I'm going to open a parenthesis here, and I'm going to say /dot asterisk, close paren, question mark. So basically in regular expression, to translate that into plain English, what I'm saying is allow the author to add anything inside of this content directory. That's really what that regular expression is doing. Okay, so go ahead and click Next. We don't need any allowed parents, so click Next again. We won't allow them to have any allowed children either. You can just leave that blank. Click OK. And now what you've done is you've built out a content page component. Now notice these little red marks here. What that means is none of this is actually saved to the repository. So it's giving you a warning saying, hey, none of this is actually saved. So here's my template for authors. You can see it built the primary type, it built the JCR title, and it indicated the ranking as well. Now if you also look at the JCR content, you'll see that they created a sling resource type. Now we're going to cover this more later, but this is very powerful, and this is pointing back to the actual component that is going to render the content. So all templates are associated with a page component that actually renders the content. So here you'll see I have training, components, page, content page, and if you look up here it says training, components, page, and we're going to have to create a content page component that's going to point there. Okay, again, we haven't done that yet, but we're going to do that soon. So now let's test our work and see how this would look from an author perspective. So make sure you hit Save All, and that's going to save all the information back to the repository. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here, and you'll see this little blue lizard. Go ahead and click on the blue lizard, and that'll take you back to your main page here in CQ5. Now go to your websites section here, and click on websites. Highlight up here for websites. Since we haven't created any pages here, just go ahead and highlight websites, and then click new and say new page as an author. Okay, and what you should see is you should see the template that you just created appear here in this list. Right now you'll see some of the defaults, including form template and blog, but you should see this training content page component, the template for authors that you just created here. Okay, if you saw that, great, you're in good shape and you're all ready for the next video.